Hi there. Welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Last time we left off on a pretty climactic or important moment. It seems, at least from what we know so far, that Trevor couldn't have done all of this by himself. So, the conclusion, obviously, is that he should have an accomplice. Even though I don't think we have any evidence directly to prove that, or who that might be, that hasn't stopped us in the past from going on down a wild goose trail and seeing where it leads us. So, yeah, obviously he had an accomplice. What are we gonna do? Say no? Like, you don't just say something and then just leave, not follow up on it. Like, that's not how these games work. Most of the time. Like 90% of the time. 90% of the time. I do remember there being at least one or two occasions where you were supposed to just not present evidence at that point in time. But anyway, not in this case, I feel. So, in the question of did he have an accomplice or not? Yeah, he sure did. The defense is ready to name Mr. Dreber's accomplice. Somehow the two bird cages must have been switched. Everything points to that. Yet according to the coroner's report, that's not a possibility. That inconsistency itself is a clue. Counsel... My lord. You have received a stark warning already. If you are nevertheless determined, then I must now ask you to identify this alleged accomplice by name. So, your answer, please. Who do you claim to have been Mr. Dreber's accomplice? Okay, Enoch's only 35 years old, huh? Wouldn't have guessed that. Okay, well, again, this kind of came out of nowhere, but, let's go back to what Rinosuke just said. According to the coroner's report, that's not a possibility. I guess, if Rinosuke is saying that the coroner's report means that our assertion is impossible, then, maybe the coroner's report is the real fucking inconsistency. And if that's the case, then, well, I think I know who we can claim to be the accomplice, I guess. Which, again, seriously, her? Like, again, it feels a bit random, if I'm being honest, but, and a little early on to be naming accomplices. Like, it's only, like, we're literally only, like, done one testimony, right? Also, can I just say, like, these two people look like they weren't even drawn by the same artist. But, like something about his, like, face is, like, extra, like, definite defined comparatively, you know? Well, I guess it's just men and women, but... Anyway, yeah, Courtney Scythe, I guess you're an accomplice now,
Take that!
I guess. The name of the person in question is... What's wrong, my Nipponese friend? Surely fear doesn't bind your tongue now. It's a little late for that. Of course I'm afraid. It's only natural. After all, naming her in this capacity is definitely going to make waves. A lot of waves. I could very well turn every single person in this courtroom against me. I'm sure it will be all right, Mr. Naruhodo. Thank you, Mrs. Otto. The enemy always appears larger than life, but you'll appear exactly the same to the enemy. Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. Alrighty then, here goes. You've kept us waiting long enough. Your answer, counsel, now. The person who colluded with Mr. Dreber in order to carry out this wicked crime is Scotland Yard's coroner, Dr. Courtney Scythe. What the blazes are you talking about? Dr. Scythe? The head of the forensic investigation team, and a coroner who conducted the autopsy on the victim? Yeah, exactly. I'm glad you know who she is. We know there were two bird cages, so who could have carried out the switch to complete the illusion? The accident happened in front of a huge crowd of spectators, and the area was immediately sealed off. Then everyone, police officers included, were banished to make way for the forensic investigation team. When else could the switch have occurred? It can only have been in that team's presence. Wait, what? Really? It's essential that the court determines exactly what happened following the incident. The defense demands that Dr. Scythe be summoned to the witness stand at once to testify. Also, I'm surprised there haven't even been any summation examinations yet. Okay. You've got a nerve, lad. Standing up there, dragging the yard's name through the mud. Bah. I didn't mean to. I know the one very well. There's no better dad room worker out there. How dare you call her a criminal? My learned friend's imagination appears to be wilder than the East End at night. But the recklessness of your accusation aside, there's another grave problem with your argument. One which the prosecution demands you address at once. A grave problem? Oh my word! Who do you claim acted as the victim's doppelganger? What? Certainly, the birdcage containing the body of the victim was exchanged for another. That cage must have also contained a body. And yet, no missing persons or accidental deaths of anyone even remotely resembling the victim have been reported. Which means there is no one, dead or alive, who could have fulfilled the role of a body double for Mr. Assman. Ugh, that's true. If my argument is that there were two bird cages, then there must have also been one person inside each. But I don't know if I've got an answer to this yet, have I? What can I do to reveal how this body double stunt was achieved? Name someone, present evidence, nothing at the moment. Now, there has been something that's been on my mind for a little while now. Now, if we look at this glass, right, we do remember that we found it in the Professor Waxwork model that was at the Crystal Tower. The glass, not the model. The model was, like, stolen, apparently. And ever since then, I've been wondering if the waxwork was involved somehow. Now, I'm not really sure exactly how that could have worked. Because, I mean, this head, obviously, doesn't look like Mr. Assman. So, if it was the waxwork model was stolen and, like, was dressed up as Assman, I could see that being, like, working as a body double. But, like, again, also, that's not the head, but... Still, I feel like I'm on the right track there, so... I'm gonna present evidence, not, name someone, I don't think. Very well. The defense will address my learned friend's concerns by presenting evidence that reveals the true nature of Mr. Assman's body double. Good gracious, evidence? I do hope this isn't filibustering, counsel. The court is expecting a name. A name? If you think you have relevant evidence, present it now. The body double and the birdcage were hiding inside the balloon that was floating above the stage. Which means that any witnesses would only have seen them from 60 feet away. So who was it that appeared out of that explosion some 18 meters above the spectators? Aha! The body double inside the second birdcage was...
Take that!
The glass? Well, probably something along these lines, I think. Okay, maybe the glass wasn't the right time to present that. Then let's see what happens to that piece of evidence when dropped from a great height. Whilst within your grasp, of course. He's suggesting you and the evidence die together, Mr. Naruhodo. Yeah, that came across. It's hard to see how another person could have been inside the second birdcage, which means the body double must have been something else. Yeah, like the glass. No, I mean, not the glass, but it's the waxwork model, okay? The model. God damn it. Yeah, okay, we know. Okay, maybe we just need to present the head, maybe.
Take that!
Okay, haha, there we go. We know that the victim, Mr. Assman, was in the birdcage that was situated inside the kinesis machine on stage. And therefore he couldn't have been inside the second birdcage. Instead, that contained something else. What's been described as a body double, which is what fell from the sky and crashed into the Crystal Tower. Yes, Counsel, according to your somewhat elaborate version of events. That body double inside the second birdcage was in fact... It's alright, Mr. Naruhodo. You're ready for this. Just steel yourself and come out with it. Thank you, Mrs. Otto. I needed that. Yeah, I can always count on you, Otto. As I was saying, the body double inside the second birdcage was, as unbelievable as it may seem, that thing there. Oh, we just had the whole fucking thing in our pocket, waiting to throw it out there. I know how it sounds. Trust me. Also, I thought I was just presenting the head.
Objection!
I didn't know we had the whole ass model on stage, but like, okay.
Open your eyes and look into mine, my Nipponese friend.
Hi. How's it going? It's me, Ryunosuke, and I know it sounds zany, but trust me.
Now tell me, what are you playing at?
Stand firm now, Ryunosuke. This is a time to show your Japanese spirit. As the court will observe, this is a waxwork model. Oh no, we're going back to the baby slaps. A model, in fact, of an infamous London murderer from 10 years ago. The Professor.
Objection!
You started by indicting the leader of the forensic investigation team as an accomplice in this crime. And now you've moved on to indicting waxworks.
Yes, that's about the size of it.
But why? And why this waxwork? It looks nothing like the victim. In fact, it could hardly resemble him less. What possible justification can you give?
Just give me a moment to explain, okay, pal? If you want to know why, ask Mr. Treba.
What?
Just days before Professor Harebrain performed his public demonstration, Mr. Treba abducted this model from Madame Tuspel's. Did you say abducted? And 2 days after the incident of the Great Exhibition, he returned it to the museum.
Then, the timing.
Is this true, Mr. Treba? At first, I couldn't see why Mr. Dreba would have stolen the waxwork and then given it back again. But now, the reason is clear. He took it so that he could put it inside the second birdcage as a body double for Mr. Assman. Gah!
Objection!
Are you hearing this, ladies and gentlemen of the jury? Are you hearing the defense's astonishing proposal?
I mean, astonishing is in a good way, right?
That the witness fabricated this vast machine with the intention of deceiving some wretched scientist. That he did so in collusion with the country's finest coroner on a public stage in front of a vast audience.
Okay, when you say it like that, it makes it sound pretty stupid.
And that, to effect the deception, he used a waxwork model that in no way resembled the victim. Are you really to believe this far-fetched tale? What do you decide?
Objection!
Okay, just wait. Wait a fucking second. Yes, if you put it like that, of course it sounds implausible. My lord, I need to speak, if you please. Go ahead, Mr. Ballman. Myself and my colleagues have reached an agreement. Very good. In that case, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will state your leanings for the court to hear now.
Guilty!
Okay,
Guilty.
Come on, guys.
Guilty.
Come on, pals.
Guilty.
Please, wait.
Guilty!
Wait a second. Just wait.
Guilty.
Okay, I gotta say, this is the first time us coming up with an idea has gotten us in trouble. Gotten us in hot water, you might say. Normally it's the prosecution saying some stupid shit, or, well, disproving our claims that causes the jurors to want to vote guilty. But we just presented a claim logically, or not logically exactly, but we presented it, and by Van Zykes just saying it, that made them all want to vote guilty. That's a first. So, as indicated by the foreman, the jury has reached a consensus. I knew that was going to happen. We shall get through this, Mr. Naruhodo, as we always do, and uncover some new truths along the way, I'm quite sure. Yes, I agree. I'm going to have to appeal to the jurors as usual, and see if I can persuade them to change their minds. The defense will now embark on a summation examination. Are you and your fellows ready to proceed, Mr. Foreman? I like how we didn't even have to ask. You know, we just kind of... it was assumed at this point, you know? We are, my lord. Very well. In that case, I ask you now to state clearly, for all present to hear, the grounds on which each of you has decided that the defendant is guilty of the crime of which he is charged. I mean, at this point, I feel like we've kind of gotten away from anything that Harebrained could have done. I've known that woman for years. She'd never be an accomplice to anything. It's utter nonsense to think those two would ever be conniving with one another. Oh dear, this is most troubling. But surely the waxwork the man stole has nothing to do with the coroner, is it? I have had my own problems with members of the police. I do not trust them much. I say no rigorous proof that this waxwork was ever inside the birdcage. It's conjecture. Accusing someone without right evidences ain't not a proper job, is it? I won't have it. Oh, what do you know about proper evidence, dumb child? Somewhat unsurprisingly, it seems the introduction of this waxwork model to the proceedings has polarized opinion. Given that its face is obscured, and its build in no way resembles that of the victim, I can only applaud my learned friend's temerity at suggesting it at Mr. Asman's body double. Yes, the applause is deafening, and yes, I know it seems extraordinary, but that's the point. That's why I have a strong feeling it's actually a greater clue than anyone yet realizes. Well, what are you thinking, Mr. Naruhodo? I can't explain why at the moment, but I feel as though there's a specific reason why it was used. Why it had to be this model. Really? A reason why nothing else would do, you mean? Yes, and I'm convinced it's something far more significant than whether or not the model looked like the victim. Well, if that's the case, fucking get on with it. We must prevent the trial from ending prematurely at all costs. Yes, agreed. I have to find a way out of this. If you are ready, counsel, you may proceed with the summation examination. Yes, my lord. Oh, hey, look at that. Enoch's in the background, just vibing. I've known that woman for years. She'd never been an accomplice to anything.
Hold it!
Yeah, maybe. The order of things seems to have changed around here for some reason. I'm a copper, lad. It's a copper's discretion to bend the rules sometimes, when needs must. Oh, I bet. What's wrong with that? Where do I start? I've been working at the yard for 40-odd years. That's even more than I thought. We've only had a Metropolitan Police Service for 70 years, you know. And of course, times have changed. I remember getting trust coppers back when I started. It was rough. We had to fight crime. And we had to fight to win the public's trust as well. And when we did,
Forensic science was in its infancy too, even more than it is now. And she spearheaded the revolution.
Dr. Scythe, you mean?
That's right. About 10 years ago now it was, when I was still a young-ish Bobby on the beat. That's when she started making a name for herself as a top-class coroner. And now look at her, heading a forensic investigation team. And a woman, no less. Well, you won't hear me complain. It's what we all dreamt of back then, I tell ya.
Could you tell me without holding that gun in the air?
We were all out to uphold justice, lad. Full of him we were. Full of him.
That's coming across loud and clear. Okay, so he clearly is respectful of Dr. Scythe. That much is obvious.
Hold it!
But we're only just starting to understand this case. What are you reading there, sir? The man behind those murders on Solar Pond Street was caught in 2 days flat. That's real policing for you. That's really not relevant to this case, is it? You're wrong there. Because it was Dr. Scythe in charge of examining the bodies. And there was evidence arising from her work that led to the arrest of the scoundrel responsible. Oh. That's right. Oh, that woman is at the forefront of this country's fight against crime. The idea that she's somehow involved in this murky business is a load of old tosh. I thought it was up to me to press the jurors, not the other way around. Okay, clearly they aren't fond of the idea that I accused Dr. Scythe.
Hold it!
I mean, Jesus, is she really all that special? I mean, well, why would you assume that? Well, quite simply because that unsettling swindler has no relationship with the woman, does he? True. As it stands, we don't know of any connection. Oh gosh, but it would be delightfully romantic if they were somehow to have a mutual interest in the waxwork. Romantic? A woman of society such as myself views everything in terms of relationships, you know. Well, you learn something new every day. Even if you don't want to. One might wonder about a possible relationship between the defendant and this corner woman. Or perhaps between the defendant and the handsome prosecutor just there. Okay. This woman may be more astute than I've been giving her credit for. If that's a woman's stance, then perhaps demonstrating some connection between the waxwork and Dr. Scythe would be enough. Yes, I agree. As soon as we have even a whiff of a connection, she'll be the first to know. Okay, fair enough. I've had my own problems with members of the police. You don't trust them. Okay, so why are you fucking vote guilty then? It seems like you'd be on our side if that was the case. Well, what sort of problems? Let's just say we have run into each other on numerous occasions while I've been performing on the street. Right, I see. Obviously, artists such as myself cannot appear on stage, as we work in close proximity to our audiences. So we perform our great magic in parks, on street corners, and the like. But the police use any excuse to make... Well, the police use any excuse to make our lives difficult. I'll get back to you. I'll get to you in due time, sir. Wow, he's just fucking twirling that gun around. Sometimes I even cook up a story to extort monies from the poor. Well, that's definitely not right. Yes, and it is why I say that if you trust the police, you will have trouble. Ha, based, am I right, guys? But here you are, claiming this waxwork model was stolen to star in an illusionary spectacular. The idea is so wild, I think I will take my chances and believe the authorities on this occasion. This is how the public at large views Scotland Yard, is it? Our own police force in Tokyo is not even 20 years old yet, is it? Perhaps we should view what's happened here in London as a measure of what may happen at home. Yes, like a Scotland Yard stick. Haha, very funny. I wonder how a policeman would feel listening to the way this juror speaks about the force. I'm sure he'd have a word or two to say in response. Yeah, I know. I'll get to him in due time. I wanna press everyone else first.
Hold it!
But you claim this whole instantaneous kinesis demonstration was a trick. Yeah, that's a fair point. Like, if you thought this was a scam from the start, like, why would you fucking vote guilty to begin with?
That I did. But there's more than one way to pull a rabbit out of a hat, isn't there?
Sorry?
I grant you, given that this cage appeared from amidst an explosion, there'd have been no need to use a real person. But for waxwork had been used, a culprit could have at least had the decency to make it look like the victim.
I'm not exactly sure how much criminals are governed by decency.
The point is, if you're going to make a claim about that waxwork being inside the birdcage, you need to give us some evidence, man. Without that, it's just not science.
I suppose we should expect nothing less than a logical argument from a fellow of the Royal Society. But that perhaps means his mind could be changed if we manage to present suitable evidence. Evidence that Professor Waxwork was inside that birdcage. Can I produce that or not? Again, in due time. I just want to press everyone first, okay? Well, I can say quite categorically, sir, that we have no such evidence at the present time.
That much was abundantly clear before that brassy proclamation, I assure you. And why you can count on the fact that I shan't be changing my leaning.
Oh dear. That proclamation was even brassier than yours, Mr. Naruhodo. If only we had some evidence, things might be different, though. Again, in due time, we'll get to it.
Hold it!
I've got to ask, why have you brought that corn into court with you?
Corn or cob? He's been going back on the farm. Picked him up on me way into town. He's a proper nibbler, he is.
Yes. The nibbling seems to be taking quite a while. Maybe it could wait until after the trial?
Oh, I don't like the sound of that. You need candles at times like these. Whenever I've something big to decide, the candles always point me in the right direction, say.
You're talking about your cob of corn.
Nibble, nobble, guilty bubble, nibble, not, guilty out. Nibble, nobble, guilty bubble, nibble, not, guilty out.
Nibble, nibble, nobble, guilty bubble, nibble, nibble, not, guilty out. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we get the idea. Please stop with the corn. Perhaps it's akin to fortune-telling with flower petals, like people do back home. So Professor Harebrain's fate is to be decided by a cob of corn. Could you not at least wait until we've had more time to find the truth, before deciding on the defendant's guilt?
Oh, I don't know about that. Your tongue's awfully full already.
Amazing. Okay, again with the puns, man.
I know it seems a little far-fetched to think that the waxwork model of the professor was in that birdcage, but on the other hand, it explains a lot.
There really is a reason why that particular waxwork had to be used as Mr. Aspen's double. We must do everything we can to make the jurors understand it. The truth is, I'm sure that's the key to this, but it's the most puzzling part of it too. Well, in that case, you should see what additional information you can glean whilst trying to change the juror's mind. If you can read a book whilst eating a rice cracker, Mr. Naruhodo, I'm sure you can do this. Right. Yes, of course. Alright, good to go. Again, mostly I just wanted to press everyone to see where to go from there, you know? But I think we've reached a good length for this episode that we can leave things off for now. At least we know what directions to go in for the next episode. But yeah, again, I love how, like, this is for the first time we presented a theory. Von Zykes just plainly stated what the theory was, and then everyone just was just like, nope, guilty. Sorry, it's really stupid. Like, I know it was kind of out there, but come on, man. But such is the way of things, I suppose. But there ain't no mountain that we can't overcome. But it's gonna have to wait. In the next episode, we will sway these jurors' minds one way or the other. But until then, I'll see you around.